All right, guys, what's going on? So, Digital Foundry has some interesting information here that we're about to look into, according to what they said. They just released their usual weekly 2 hour podcast or whatever, DF Weekly 234. A lot of stuff about Game Pass price hike, and then we got Xbox console price hikes or price rises here. And then they're asking, are players being forced out of affordable gaming now? And they're going to go deep into this, but they're not necessarily slamming down Xbox doing this. This is more about a professional response about a real concern. Are gamers being forced out of affordable gaming? And what's really going on with these price hikes? Do tariffs affect? You know how I think about that, but of course we know they're going to say certain things. And yeah, there's a lot to talk about here. Let's go. We ready, y'all? It's about to get interesting. And hang in there, Xbox gamers.
Actually, I'm going to roll these two questions into one. The first two questions. This one from Sam Talik. Salutations, most esteemed foundryman. With Microsoft's announcement that everybody's Xbox Series consoles are soon to be worth hundreds of dollars more, are you proud of yourselves for getting in on the ground level in 2020? I'm so delighted that consoles are now more of an investment property than consumer electronic device. In all seriousness, do you think we've hit the ceiling of Microsoft's NFT-style console pricing scheme, or do you see further gains in these little investment boxes? Surely retailers have to be panicking about any floor space dedicated to this unsellable hardware at this point. That one was sarcastic, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. But it's a really good question and concern here.
This one from in brackets, don't be a Richard. Again, advice I can fully sign up to. Hey team! Exclamation point. This week, EB Games in Australia and New Zealand appear to have taken logos for Xbox from their homepage and directed all stores to remove the Xbox section at retail. Presumably, this is in part response to Microsoft's continued push to digital. Assuming this isn't temporary, and it may well be, with Nintendo still having physical games and Sony rumored to have optional disc drives for the PS6, do you think a lack of physical retail presence or marketing would place future Xbox hardware at a disadvantage? Looks like Costco in many regions and Sam's Club is also delisting or doing clearance sales on Xbox. While we're on the topic, the US Xbox price rises were something, weren't they? Well, there's the sort of contention that all of this is sort of related. And looking at those price rises, man, I mean, it's harsh. US, North America, Series S, 512 gigabytes, launched at $300, $299. It's now $400.
Yeah, oh man, that in Game Pass going up, that pissed me off so much. I was like, man, y'all had it, man. You had the 300 with the easy Game Pass. Now it's more priced out and a $30 Game Pass. Like, oh man, y'all messed that up, man. I would have had that going, and then I would have had GTA come out. I would have put the consoles on sale, and I would have sold millions of consoles because that's the biggest thing. You know what I mean? And then I would have thought about certain things after a while, but messed that up before it's here. Guys, I still can't, man. Like, and what he was saying earlier about, the unsellable hardware, and all, that's a realistic concern. So to me, it's a realistic question to ask professionals and, people who've been doing this for a long time. What the hell is going to be going on next? People want answers to that. They really do. And we're going to everybody to find out as much as we can. We all do. Because if you don't care, you're not doing it.
The Series S, 1 terabyte, $450, up from $350. Series X, 650 of your US bucks, up from 500 in 2020. Series X digital, it's gone up from 550 to 600. Actually, no, the launch price of that in 2024 was $450. It's gone up to $600. Series X to 2 terabyte Galaxy Special Edition, $800 for a 2 terabyte Series X, up from $600. Oliver, this is kind of like, it almost looks like suicidal pricing in a way. It's like Microsoft just don't seem to want you to buy them.
Well, it's tricky because if you're dealing with like 30% surcharge on your goods, how do you price that? And how do you price that in an environment where you might think it might go down or indeed it might go up? I think Sony and Nintendo have basically taken the route of, we're going to eat it for now, or eat most of it for now. Obviously, Sony's increased their prices a little bit, but I think they want to...
Well, Nintendo's done a better job at that, but I think it's still kind of early for them, to even consider that. You got to build first.
Build market share for themselves, especially Nintendo. They need to build a substantial base of consoles before they really consider raising the prices by large margins. And then they're also building in countries that are tariffed a little bit less than Microsoft, which is building all Series X and Series S hardware in China.
Huge mistake. And Oliver's right. Remember when Nintendo said that if the tariffs in Vietnam are not crazy, though we're not on it, but I'm just saying this is what they said though, so we're not going to jack the price up. And then certain things happen. They put the accessory up, or whatever, but they didn't touch the hardware on purpose. So yeah, Oliver is definitely right about that. Now, could they do it after they build their base? hmm That's what I'd be worried about. Like in the future, once they're so good and they realize, like Sony, we don't really need hardware anymore. You never know, man, and you don't know what the hell's going to be going around the corner. So, I mean, it is something to consider. Obviously, I'm going to be pissed if they do jack up the price of the hardware, but we'll see though. I'm not going to say that they're not going to. Not in this industry, not this generation. That would be naive.
But yeah, ultimately the ceiling here is determined by tariffs. I mean, there's been some increase in the nominal bill of materials, and indeed there have been increases in Xbox prices around the world at different times over the past few years, including recently, but they've not been nearly to this degree of increase. So, sure. Yeah, I think, you know, if the tariffs go up by a lot, I think realistically the trade in Xbox consoles will stop. I don't think they'll be shipping consoles to America anymore. If they do.
Yeah, he's right. Because at that point, nobody's going to buy that and it's going to sit there. Just don't do it then. Just go full third party and make massive profit. Because that's making you look positive and put your games everywhere and make Game Pass like, you know, I don't know if you can go back down to 25, that would be nice. But I mean, other than that, yeah, I mean, that's the route for Microsoft. For third party publishers, the Game Pass can still be okay. Like if they drop two $70 games, you don't want to spend $140 or even $3, you know what I mean? Or there's an indie with that. And you're selecting it on and off, that's plausible, but I don't know, man.
To increase by a large margin, like 145% has been mooted. I don't think they'll continue. Yeah, I don't really think it's necessarily Microsoft's NFT-like pricing scheme or greed. I mean, maybe it will be in the future. I don't think that's what it is at the moment. It's just a matter of like they have their margin. They don't want to give up margin for market share. Other vendors are willing to make that choice. Microsoft is probably not.
They don't need to.
Yeah, I should say in the UK, it's the prices are kind of reasonable. It's like £420 for a Series X, looking on Amazon, which is okay. I'll tell you what I'm thinking about this from the North American perspective, Alex, and it's really sort of kind of crazy at this point. Is that the deal from console manufacturers to gamers has always been your entry your entry to this particular ecosystem is going to be cheap. We're going to subsidize it. And in return, you're going to have to pay a bit more for games. You're going to have a subscription for, live services, stuff like that. And, you'll get some occasional free games and whatnot. The thing is, if you're actually sort of producing consoles at such a high price point, then you're kind of going back on that deal. And I think there's actually going to be some sort of pushback to that. People are suddenly going to realize, well, if I'm not actually getting the advantage of subsidized hardware, maybe I should be looking at PC, where I get free games every week from Epic Game Store, where my live services, multiplayer, etc., are free.
And then you get the Amazon cloud stuff, the Amazon free games on Twitch. It is better at that point, and you're not paying for online. I'm saying if you want to play that stupid game, what's the point? And you can go on CD Keys and get some of those stuff on there for cheaper too, or other websites and other markets that have that. At that point, Rich is right on the money, because then it's like, yeah, what is the point then? Yeah.
And where the cost of a really good gaming PC with sort of equivalent performance like a PS5 Pro isn't actually that much more expensive net compared to console. So it's a tricky one, right?
If Rich is talking about like getting the hardware, paying $100 and something for a year online, and if you have PlayStation for 7 years, you're paying over $100 and something for online, you could be paying them $700-800 plus that console plus all that. I mean, it just depends on how you want to look at it. I get what he's trying to say though. Definitely considering you can always get games cheaper consistently, get mods and all that. I mean, you would think too, because I was talking about this earlier, I don't think that you could build price for price a PS5 Pro PC equivalent with FSR4 when that's coming into the future. If I wanted to get something like let me just say, for example, and this is a tough one. I want you guys to think about this. RTX 4060 Ti, kind of like similar to that, right? It's something like that. Guys, this shit is 500 fucking dollars. And think about FSR4 too, and then let's get the CPU, let's get the RAM, let's get the motherboard, let's get the case, let's get the mouse and the keyboard. I don't know about that because that's already 500. Because that's the GP. That's kind of like almost a GPU equal in it to an extent. And no, I'm not saying anything against Digital Foundry. I know what Rich is saying, but I'm saying this is what I thought if we look at it that way. But if you want to factor in like the cost of Plus now and all these other things, I mean, yeah, and all this other stuff he was talking about, definitely when it comes to Xbox, I mean,
I think it is going to become more tricky over time if this keeps happening. And if, like Oliver said, like these tariffs go through in the way he described them, do you even ship the consoles to the United States at that point, right? And do they become even more scarce? And then the price increases as a result of that anyway there locally. It is a really interesting question. I think it's also most pertinent beyond this whole Xbox thing. It's also most pertinent for the PS6. Probably because at the moment the PS5 Pro is like the closest technological upgrade, like it's the medium waypoint probably in a lot of ways between what we're going to see in the PlayStation 6 in terms of all these things, but it's going to be better in a lot of ways. But to make it better with things not going down in price, like the components, like how does Sony sell that thing at a price that is cheaper potentially than the PlayStation 5 Pro? And that is a question that I think we're going to have to be talking about a lot more over time as we get toward the announcement and launch of that console, whatever that.
I agree with him. I don't see how this thing could be cheaper than $600 coming. I think the PS6 will be like $600 plus minimum or something like that. And I think they probably want to get that 600 price tag. 700, that's pushing it, but it's possible. I wouldn't doubt that in this market in this generation today. But we still got years to go, so can't kind of make that jump like that's going to be solidified. But it's pretty obvious that the guesstimate is going to be more, depending on the way we're seeing the market now, more than $500 easily. There's no way.
That may be, because at the moment it doesn't look like this is going to change too much, and we're going to be seeing a very different console release cycle next time around in terms of price, availability, and all these other things. So, yep, not a good time at all. No.
I mean, it may well be the case that Microsoft just completely
Yeah, I'm not one of those people, like I said, oh man, I'm so happy Xbox is, guys, like, not really, man. But it happens, man. Got to keep going forth.
up the concept of the subsidized model across the board, because it's going to be moving into the PC space where it's going to have to contend with the likes of Valve and Epic as direct competitors if you're going to allow those stores to be operational on your console.
Yep.
Hell, Rich, what about GOG? Because we forgot about that too. That's also a competitor. This is a very big competitor because a lot of people like to play these old games, and a lot of people like the DRM free aspect. That's more attractive too. Like, Microsoft's going to really have to do a lot to make themselves feel attractive in the PC world, whereas other things have dominated for such a long time that they're comfortable on those profiles. It's going to be hard to move them. We've already talked about that, so that's definitely a concern for sure.
So, maybe it's just that we're not seeing the full picture there. In terms of the physical market and the concept of going into a shop to buy your console or buy your games, I don't think it's a priority for Microsoft for exactly that reason. If they're looking to align more with the PC market, kind of makes sense, I think.
That's what I was kind of saying at that extent, because like I said, you're not having anything on the market. That's why I said it's not an Xbox. An Xbox means I'm on the market, I'm selling millions, and I'm competing against PlayStation for monthly sales, for weekly sales, have my own software, my own first party in-house. It's first party. So I have my first party stuff on there. It's dedicated. That's what that means. But of course, there's a lot of stuff going on with that, but I'm not dancing around stupid behavior, as we all know. All right, y'all, peace out. Have a great day. Let me know what you guys think about this. Are players being forced out of affordable gaming? Yes. Let's not be dumb. Yeah. Later, y'all.